Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. The thing is... Oh, man, where do I begin with this? You've probably seen the title. I will say right off the bat, it's not like we didn't see something like this coming. In fact, I think in most news roundups recently, I've been talking about the little slithers of anticipating news of possibly a delay. If it happens, then it happens. And I've been talking as to why that could happen, given the absence of news. But now, ladies and gentlemen, not only has, as per the Hollywood Reporter here, the Batman Part 2 delayed a year to 2026. I first read that headline. I tweeted initially saying, okay, a video tomorrow maybe. But then I actually saw, yeah, a year to 20... Wait, what do you mean a year to 2026? I looked down. It's not just from October to March. Like, for example, the Batman Part 1 was delayed from October 2021, as we know, to March of 2022. And I was thinking, okay, we've been entertaining that. Maybe it could have a similar shift if things get dramatic. But it's not been just delayed from October 2025 to March of 2026. It is October of 2025 to October of 2026. So it's not coming out this October. It's not coming out next October. It's coming out the October after that. Oh my God. Oh, that's painful. It is so painful. So, guys, you know, I'm not trying, you know, jokes or theatrics aside here. It's a bit of a mixed feeling because, again, I know some of you are going to be like, Boba, why are you acting like this? I mean, a delay was so obvious. Yes, it kind of felt like it was starting to look that way, but I didn't expect October. How am I stuttering? October 2026. That is crazy. So we're going to get into why this happened, or at least why I think this is happening outside of, well, duh, it got delayed, you know, maybe the script's still being written and stuff. But again, I just need to put it out that I didn't expect October 2nd, 2026. But hey, that's my birthday. That feels like a sign. Listen, Al Gaib. Guys, I'm 29 now. I just want to let you know. I'm going to be turning 32 when this releases. For all I know, I might have a little freaking Robin running around by that point. What the hell? But in all reality, guys, this article doesn't say anything else of any substance. They say Warner Brothers, or DC rather, did not immediately provide a reason for the delay. I wouldn't be surprised. This is why I felt like maybe waiting until tomorrow. Gunn's going to probably be bombarded by DC fans since he is the head of DC Studios on Threads. And maybe, given that DC hasn't given an official reason for the delay right now, I do, you know, intuitively feel like somebody's going to be like, don't worry, guys. You know, even if Matt himself, maybe Noxie's quite quiet, but if not Gunn saying, I've seen the drafts, you know, Matt's doing great work, la-di-da-da, but we just feel like this, you know, delay is right to make sure everything is, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's with regards to the script. And that could be, obviously, a big part of it, to be honest. If there's stuff being said by Gunn on Threads tonight, or Matt Reeves even, I will address it in tomorrow's planned video. But let me actually get my thoughts out here. Yes, right off the bat, this is a much bigger delay than what I expected. And I am a bit gutted, if I'm being honest. I have mixed feelings about it because I am of the mindset in situations like this, in, you know, the same with a weird comparison here, maybe not, with like video game delays. It sucks, you know, with fans, and, you know, I'm sure many of you are feeling this way where you just want it, right? You really want it. So you feel like a sense of almost frustration or anger of like such a delay sometimes. But you can kind of just zoom out, despite the passion of the fandom, and just be like, it is what it is. It is what it is, isn't it? It really is. And just with a game, and just like with this film, Part 2, with the development here, I rather Matt Reeves cook, as people like to say these days, and cook accordingly so that when we get Part 2, it is delayed for all the right reasons, because that meant it came to us in the way it should have always come to us. So it is what it is. Trust me, if you're in pain right now, as I said, guys, I'm 29, I'm turning 30 this year in October 2nd. I'm going to be 32 when this movie is coming out. And I find that crazy. Absolutely nuts. I will get to the explainer in a second, but I'm just ranting right now. This is a rant video almost. It is just unfathomable because, you know, with the tentative, keyword being tentative, date of November for production of 2022. That got pushed back to March. Understandably, I remember basically all of last year was strikes. You know, Matt Reeves was very much so affected from near the beginning of the year with the writers' strikes in May. You know, then you got June, and then you got July, and then July, I believe around July 12th, the actors went on strike. So Matt Reeves was still striking because he couldn't write on the script, and before anyone says, oh, come on, Boba, as if he wasn't writing, look, let's just say, by the rules, he wasn't writing, and he was out there picketing and everything like that, so do you know what I mean? No matter what, it would have halted progress. Let's just put that on paper. Then June, July, August, September, October, at the end of October, do you know what I mean? That is a big, delay. Seriously, and it did hinder progress. So with regards to the tentative date being pushed back to March of 2024, which is this month, I've been saying for months now, even though I was initially optimistic before anyone says, but Boba, you thought maybe there was a chance. Yes, I did initially, that they could have made March. But if you remember, I have been saying very consistently that I don't know about this. I think it could be pushed back by a month or two, or maybe till July, August at worst for a production if they were initially aiming for the March tentative shooting date. Because, I mean, let's look at Superman Legacy. Superman now. Another film that is filming in March this month. They've casted, they've got a finished script, obviously, they've casted. They're looking at this, that, it's going to be filming in March. The Batman, no word of a finished script, no word of casting, and it's supposed to be filming this? Obviously not. And here we are. So I was still thinking, okay, this isn't looking good as each week unfolds. It really isn't. Even if you want to kind of give the benefit of the doubt of some low-key development behind the scenes, as I always say, just because there isn't news, it doesn't mean that there isn't news that they can talk about. It just means they're not ready to talk about it yet. But yeah, the writing on the wall was that, okay, it's definitely not going into production March of 2024 right now. It looks like it could be pushed back to maybe the late summer. So as a result, you kind of take the adjustment there. I was concluding low-key a bit of a delay, but I was hoping that maybe it would be delayed until late 2025 for the release day of Part 2. So it goes from October to maybe the end of November, December. Maybe they can squeeze that in the post-production. And at worst, I was thinking they might do a similar thing of October 2021 to October 2022 for the original film, but in this case, October 2025 to March of 2026. But instead, here we are with a year delay. That is quite a combination. First of all, why is this happening? Why isn't it going from October 2024 to March of 2026 in a release date likened to that of October 2021 to March 2022 for the first movie? I think that is for a variety of reasons. Now, before somebody says it, because I know people are going to be saying it out there, this is all James Gunn, it's a part of his plan, he's killing the Batverse, or if he's not killing the Batverse, this is a part of his plan to incorporate Robert Pattinson into the DCU. And no, just stop. If I'm wrong, I will eat my shoe, but the plethora of evidence that we got from Gunn himself, Reeves himself, and I mentioned Gunn again, and Gunn again, and Gunn again, because he said it that many times that isn't happening. So let's just brush that aside. What are the actual probable reasons here? Because I'm not an oracle, I don't know the exact reason as of right now. Again, maybe Gunn is given more clarity. So, the strikes. I mentioned the strikes because that is something to take into account. Matt Reeves started writing, and they announced it around August of 2022 that they were starting that progress of looking at Part 2. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were going ham on the keyboard straight away for Part 2 script, because when I talk about this, or I see people talk about it, they like to say, he's been writing it for so long, since 2022, as soon as part 1 ended, basically in March. And I'm like, how do you know their schedule? Matt Tomlin works on lots of other things, the co-writer of the Batman Part 2. Matt Reeves with Six and Idaho Productions does as well. They've got some time to do other things, as well as, meet up and probably call, if not video call, to write the Part 2 script. But I'm just saying, we can't pretend to know everything just because, they announced that, the wheels were moving the summer of 22, a few months after the Batman Part 1 came out. But okay, yeah, it had been rolling a bit, right? So as the year comes to an end, you enter the new year, they had been writing of what we could assume a fair amount. A fair amount. But as we know, and this is very public record, Matt Reeves has admitted himself, like, he is a slow writer. He wants to make things perfect. He's not going to rush it out. And I think the first film speaks for itself there. I'm not saying that the writing is absolutely flawless, but I do consider Matt Reeves, or should I say the Batman, compared to other comic book movies out there, it may not be your cup of tea, it may be too slow-paced for you, but the writing is way more competent, in my opinion, than a lot of other comic book movies. I'm not saying everyone, but from that of your typical formulaic one. Now, I kind of emphasized on that fact because, again, Matt Reeves takes his time. So it was always going to be a long, long process. But as we get to May, well, then every writer, including, Matt Reeves is included in that because he's not only directing the Batman Part 2 and the Batman, he also writes it with his co-writer, Mattson Tomlin. May, for all intents and purposes, he was not allowed to write. Now, you can say there's no way Matt Reeves didn't write down little bullet points. Maybe he wouldn't have developed the script this way and that, but maybe he did something. Look, I'm not here to say what he did or didn't do. We don't know the guy. I'm just saying that on a technicality, or as per what happened and as per the rules, he was strictly not allowed to write from May, June, July, August, September, and at the end of September, I believe September 27th, is when the writer's strike ended. So basically the beginning of October. Now, from October, technically, he was allowed to start, swimming in that groove again of writing the Batman Part 2. And then that leads us to November, December, and here we are, January, February, March. As filming this video, Deadline is saying something along the lines of what we've been saying now anyway. The delay is due to the script being far from complete because of the studios refusing to make a fair deal with writers for months. So could very well be the case that the script still isn't done. So all in all, yes, you could still say that's a long time of writing. But I still want to say that, with every bit and piece kind of taken into account, it's not been like a super smooth process. And with Matt Reeves' process in general being quite slow in of itself, it did seem, no matter what, that things were going to take, a little bit longer, unfortunately, than everybody would like it to. So this is where I get into a bit of the technical details. I'm not pretending to be a part of the crew or a part of the IATSC or anything like that, but from what I understand, obviously the strikes had more of a knock-on effect than what I think people realize. Again, people just look at the acute, oh my god, right, 5-month delay. Matt Reeves was writing since August 22, before May of 23 when the strike started, and, it ended at the end of September. So really, end of September to 2024 March, shouldn't the script still be ready? But the thing is, don't forget how everyone, the industry, started up at once. Everyone got fired up, and as a result, resources, if you will, were sought after quite a bit. Now, actually, as I'm making this video, Jeff Snyder, now I don't know if this is actually a part of it, but it kind of factors into my point here of speculation, granted. Yes, the strikes didn't help the Batman Part 2, he says, but I hear a major part of its year-long delay is a lack of available stages. While Warner Brothers was figuring out timing, many spaces got booked. So that could be a perfect example. I'm not saying it's the example to go with, but it's one of the unfortunate things in where you gather all of these ingredients and it's kind of not a recipe for success, but the Batman Part 2, just like the Batman Part 1, it seemed to be destined for a recipe, not for disaster, because obviously they cooked a good film, but just like the first film, it was plagued with COVID. It ended up being an 18-month shoot. Second film, my God, Matt Reeves just taking a while anyway. Writer's strike. Not only does that cause a delay to Matt Reeves' actual writing progress, but even when it ends, you have a knock-on effect in the industry of everyone in productions rushing to book sound stages, this, that, and the other. So inevitably, the Batman Part 2, just like the Batman Part 1, kind of had a recipe for disaster going against it, which caused this disastrous delay, in my weird analogy here. I'm not saying the film will be a disaster. I'm just saying, unfortunately, it's a disaster for us diehard fans because we want it sooner. We want it now. There's also other commitments actors might have as a result that they were looking at, that they're obligated to. I mean, for crying out loud, Robert Pattinson is also having a baby in the next several months. He's going to be a dad. You need to factor everything in under this umbrella. And they were like, right, everything seems to line up around, October, you say 2026? oh. So, you know, I think it's just an absolute clusterfuck of things like that. I'm not an expert, but I feel like I understand this enough to just be confident in it's just a series of unfortunate events. Just like, well, COVID was a lot easier to understand for the first movie. We haven't got full transparency as of at least when I'm making this video, other than, well, some things like the strikes that are transparent, some things that we know about Matt Reeves and his process, and then other little tidbits that are coming out and probably will continue to come out as I probably post this video. Regardless, I'm glad that this will give Matt Reeves more time to be honest, think about it. I'm sure he's got other commitments, but like, he's got more time now to just polish it and make it better than it could have maybe have been in the first place. Secondly, I'm glad in a silver lining here that they are keeping the October release date, because it could have been like the first film where they went from October to March, but no, I feel like October's a cool, you know, Batman release date to have, especially since this is a very crime noir detective saga here. And regardless of who the villain is, I think it'll always, the somewhat tone of Matt Reeves' Gotham will fit an October release date. What I am hopeful for is that we'll still be getting news despite filming probably not starting for quite a long time now, given that it technically doesn't need to. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't hear news about casting at some point in time. I'm not saying we're going to get it next month, but just because, you know, the Batman Part 2 is now coming out in October 2026, we could still hear about, you know, just like the Hollywood Reporter here reporting this, we could hear major trades talk about how Matt Reeves has been eyeing this actor and that actor to play this role, just like how they said, oh, Jonah Hill was, you know, eyed for the role of Riddler and Penguin, and then it turned out to be Colin Farrell. We could still be hearing stuff about that this year. I don't think that's just going to disappear until God knows when. No, I don't think this is going to have any bearing on the Penguin. I think that should be still releasing near the fall of this year, around about the end of August, September, maybe approaching October, who knows, but it's definitely a full release. I don't think they're going to delay this just because the Batman Part 2 has been pushed back all the way to October, because some people might be thinking, okay, well, if there's such a time jump, maybe they might delay it even if it's ready, to kind of spread it out a little bit. I still don't think they would even do that. I think we are getting that this year as planned. Final words about this is, please don't be one of those people who's like, oh, you know, they really just got to cancel it. Why can't you listen to the logic of, okay, this is actually why it got delayed. Hey, the more you kind of look into it, it sucks, but it kind of makes sense. It's just one of those things. It just is what it is. But some people, like, no matter what, just, you know, get into, like, the conspiracy rabbit hole of, like, no, this secretly means it's going to be cancelled. It's all, you know, can't you see? And they don't see how this led to that, and this combined with that, unfortunately, maybe meant this, and as a result, it's a sucky situation. I will be keeping the hype train alive for the Batman Part 2 with the Batman Part 2 discussion series on this channel. My God, we're going to be in, like, episode 1024 at this point by the time we even get the first casting for Part 2. Oh my God. By the way, guys, I'm going to go cry in a corner now. There will be more updates about this. I know I've rambled for a god-awful amount of time, but this one, my God, did you think I was going to do anything else but just kind of go around in circles, you know, as I am, you know, broaching the point of insanity, that definition of it, especially because the Batman Part 2 is my baby. And now I'm going to be 32 when it comes out. Anyway, guys, would appreciate a like on this video. Cry along with me down in the comments section. You know, again, I'm not trying to be too dramatic there, but, you know, it is what it is. I admit that, but I am bummed out. I can't deny that. Like, I'm glad that they're cooking, but I'm also allowed to be a fanboy and upset about this, as I'm sure many of you can relate to right now. We will talk about this, if not already tomorrow, with another update. If there are many updates, I've got other content planned for tomorrow, and maybe in the Batman Part 2 discussion series. Actually, you know what? If you've made it this far, please leave your comments for the next episode of the Batman Part 2 discussion series down in this comment section. If you have any questions, concerns coming out of this news, or even just the typical stuff we go over in that series, theories and whatnot, let me know down in the comments below. I'll be screenshotting from this video. But I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Until next time. Oh, man. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you, Bat Family, in the next video. Goodbye.